Hi, this is Avar from Scrapping Mania, and today I'm going to create another page in my art journal, and this one's going to be to put the pictures of my kids. So these are my two pages that I already created early this week, and I'm ready to create the next page. And what I've been doing with this art journal is, because it's regular paper, I go ahead and glue 5 pieces together. And after I glue 5 pieces together, I go ahead and place some masking tape. And this one doesn't have masking tape. I go ahead and place masking tape in the spine, along the spine, because I do pull papers out of, when I do glue them together, I do pull some papers out, so that way my journal, hopefully my journal will lay flatter and won't bulge, but we'll see how that works. This is the first time I ever do these kind of journal. I really don't. I do more scrapbooking than anything, so this is my first time that I do a journal, so hopefully what I'm doing is how it should be done. And there's no right or wrong way anyhow when you are creating art, so let's see how this comes out. So now that I have my tape on, let me show you what I am going to use. So I am going to use, I'm going to use some templates. I got this template. These are some of the papers that I pull out of the book. And I'm also going to use some of these frames, and these frames were created with this stamp by Little Yellow Bicycle. So I went ahead and used some of the papers that I pulled out. I stamped it, and then I colored the inside of the frame with some gesso. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use this frame. And I also have a bunch of stamps here. I'm thinking that this stamp, The Story Begins, I'm going to use that. And maybe Always and Forever at the bottom. Might use that. And I have some other stamps here. This is from Prima. I may use that for journaling. I'm not sure. This is from Kaiser Craft, and this is from Bo Bunny, and it's called Stained Texture. And this is from Bo Bunny, Distress. I wrote the name on there, Distress something Distress. Distress Backgrounds. So let me go ahead and get started. I'm going to speed up the video and we'll see what comes out. And then one of the tips that I've seen while I've been watching a lot of videos on mixed media was using some kind of, I'm not sure how you call that tool, but it's like some spatula thing that they use to put mixed media and also paste, texture paste on their projects. So I used that, and I kind of like it because it gave it a little bit of texture, and you're able to make it thinner. And then another tip that I've seen while I'm watching a lot of videos on multimedia was putting paint on your craft table and then putting water on it and then spraying it and letting it drip. And that's what I did there. The other tip that I've been watching too is putting binder clips on your pages, so that way they don't raise up, because I notice as I do these pages that my paper is starting to kind of have a lot of shape and curls and things like that, and doesn't lie all the way flat. So the binder clips really help. So here I'm just drying each layer after another. And here you see me using the shape template to kind of use it as a guide to lay color down and put color around that shape. And I saw that from another mixed media artist, and I don't know who it was, but she had a heart, and she used the heart template to color within the heart, and it looked really nice. So I gave my try on it, and I really liked the result. And then here, of course, I'm making a tree. That's an easy shape for me, so I made a tree. And then I put a little bit of the crayons, the watercolor crayons on it, and then spread that crayon with water to give it that look. And I used two colors. I used brown and black, so that way it didn't look like a static tree. It looked more like a tree. Then a while ago you saw me cut some leaves out of paper, so I cut strips and then I cut it. I folded it in half and cut it in an angle, and then see that technique with the heart. I put it behind the tree. I'm gonna put a saying, always and forever. However, don't I learned from my mistake here. Do not use a block, and that's why I was seeing a lot of mixed media artists do not use blocks. They just use the stamp itself and stamp on the page, and now I know why. And then here, my camera again. I'm having issues with camera, so you miss me putting a lot of the leaves and the punch out flowers. I do have a Fisker punch out flower, and I have two sizes, and I put a big one and a small one. But it's basically I just use my Mod Podge and just put a lot of decoupage, a lot of flowers and leaves onto my tree. So, and then you see that template? What I did is I used the template, I traced it out with my pencil to give me a guide. So then I would go over it with my marker. And everything in here has decoupage media, so there's a slick surface. I'm writing on a slick surface. And I learned a tip from Vicky, and I can't say her last name, but I'll put her link on the description below. She's a mixed media artist and also do cards and things like that. I love her art. Anyhow, I learned it from Vicky. She puts gel medium on all her art journals. And what that allowed her to do is she can use her markers and blend the marker in the black background because it doesn't stick to the paper. You have some time to kind of play with it and blend it, and then it becomes permanent afterwards. So see how I'm using just a regular Ranger. It's called Adarac Pitch Black pen. It's from Ranger. And it works. I really like this effect. It worked very nice. I just put a little line and then immediately use my finger to blend. And then after the video, which I don't show you, I use my my gel sticks from Faber-Castell. I got those at Amazon, very reasonable price. It's in the kit section. I use that for the edges. So I went around the edge of all my page and blend that, and that worked very well too. I really liked how that looked, and see how I just love that look of the black shading under each of your shapes. Now I am going to go and get a brown marker because I think I'm gonna also like brown as the shading for some of my shapes. Here I'm using a fine tip marker to go over all my flowers just to give it a little more distinction between the smaller flower on top of the larger flower. And then lastly, I use my gel pen to go over all the letters. Again, my camera went out, so at the time when I was doing this video, I didn't know how much got recorded and how much didn't. So I will go at the end and I'm going to narrate a little more about the page. And then the last bit here is, of course, I need sequins for the centers of all my flowers, just to give it that sparkle. And with the layout, it's still drying. So let me show you real quickly the layout. In case the camera went off, I'm not sure, because I had to change the battery a couple times and start it a couple times. So I'm just going to give you the end result. So here's the finish of my layout. So let me go over in case some of the parts did not record well. So I finished the flowers off with some sequins. And then I went over with my Faber-Castell gel sticks with this. I went over the edges, and then I went over the edges of all my flowers and everything with the Adirondack Pitch Black pen by Ranger. And this is very good to use on a slick surface. So because I do have my Mod Podge, which is glossy, it's very slick. So when I put this on, and I'll show you a little bit on this leaf if it didn't record, so that way you can see how thick it is. But then you take your finger and you smooth it out, and it creates that little hazy outline that you see there. Okay, so that's what I did with all my flowers and all of my pieces that I have glued down. And I also did the same thing with the frame. And then I'm going to put the picture of my 3 kids right in the center here. So it's kind of like an art journal, scrapbook kind of book. I mean, it's developing as it goes, so I'm not sure what it is and what the end product is going to be at the end of the year. But this is what it's starting to become. It's a little scrapbook journal, art journal. And I'm also going to put things that happen throughout the month in the book. That's it. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I think I'm going to create another last page. I'm not sure before I go home. I'm going home tomorrow, so I'm not sure tonight if I'm going to create another page for my journaling, for my art journal, or if I'm going to create a layout, or if I'm going to crochet. Yeah, I brought a lot of projects, and actually the 2 weeks were too short for all the projects that I brought along. But anyhow, so we'll see. So I hope you enjoyed this series of workation, and try to do your own if you do go for travel, or you leave town, or even if your husband and your kids are out of town and you're by yourself at home, create a nice little scrapbook retreat and just dedicate that time to scrapbook and kind of recharge your batteries for the work ahead. So I hope you like this, and thank you for watching. Bye now.